The man who hacked NASA and the AFSPC gives a new interview and he describes what he found. Gary was able to access these computers in real time and view files on them. He found some startling pictures. One in particular was of a large cylindrical shaped UFO hovering in space. The field of ufology has long been muddled with disinformation campaigns and bad journalism. Sometimes this journalism includes infiltration efforts by intelligence agencies themselves. This is a clear given the fact that intelligence agencies have a direct relationship with journalists and mainstream media outlets, as there are declassified documents showing so. Operation Mockingbird is a great example, not to mention all of the mainstream media journalists who have come out and said that mainstream media is directly influenced by intelligence agencies, governments, and corporations. And you can find some of those documents and examples of those in the 2 previous articles published. But when it comes to UFOs, we know that they're real, but we also know that along with that reality, there has been, quote, an official campaign of ridicule and secrecy, unquote. Ex-CIA Director Roscoe Hillenkotter, perhaps this ridicule campaign carries on today through some rather ghastly and believable claims. But let's not let that mask the fact that this phenomenon is indeed real, and there are a plethora of credible sources, including documents, data, physical evidence, and more, suggesting we are not alone, and that we probably are being visited and have been visited by intelligent extraterrestrial beings from other worlds and possibly other dimensions, interdimensional beings. Now, a lot of this evidence has come from ufologist Richard Dolan, who has always been a key resource for me, says the writer here, with regards to accessing credible information about UFO phenomenon. He said, I find that it's important to seek out proper researchers who share information in a credible and verified way, especially about a subject that can so easily be ridiculed when you're trying to reach the masses who don't have much knowledge about it, but are genuinely curious. I also feel that my generation of UFO researchers lack proper research and investigative skills, are easily influenced and swayed, and in the age of social media are simply trying to share whatever they can, no matter how credible, to simply stay relevant instead of doing it for the love and genuine desire to share important, truthful information. And like I said, there are some rather outside-the-box claims out there that have absolutely no credibility behind them, and to share those actually does more disservice to the movement, in my opinion. On the other hand, there are some very outside-the-box claims and information that do indeed have tremendous amounts of credibility behind them, and these are the ones we should be paying attention to. One example comes from the case of Gary McKinnon, who for 10 years was in great danger of extradition to the United States for accessing nearly 100 NASA and military computers, including the United States Space Command. This was the real deal, and here's a clip of Obama and the UK Prime Minister at the time fielding a question about Gary. This breach made headline news. Now, Gary was able to access his computers in real time, viewing files on them. He found some startling pictures. One in particular was of a large cylindrical-shaped UFO hovering in space, in addition to a strange spreadsheet document with a list of, quote, non-terrestrial officers, end quote, presumably belonging to a publicly unacknowledged branch of the United States military operating in space, as well as a, quote, fleet-to-fleet, end quote, transfers of materials, whatever that means. It reminds us a little bit of Star Trek, doesn't it? Now, I'll let you listen, he says, to the interview below for more details straight from Gary McKinnon's mouth via Dolan's YouTube channel, where he also describes a high-resolution photograph taken from space of a smooth cigar-shaped craft. And the real secret space program, is there a secret space program, and have clandestine groups been reverse engineering ET technology? Dr. David Clark is an investigative journalist, reader, and lecturer at Sheffield Hallam University in England. He was also the curator of the National Archives UFO project from 2008 to 2013 and regularly comments in national and international media on UFOs. These documents reveal how the RAF, the Royal Air Force, expressed great interest in finding UFOs, And Dr. Clark told the Daily Mail, even though they have been partly censored, they can't conceal the fact that UK military were interested in capturing UFO technology, or what they coyly refer to as novel weapon technology, and the files reveal they were desperate to capture this technology wherever it came from before the Russians or Chinese got hold of it first. Although this was 1997, Russia was still regarded as an undefeated enemy with a weapons program regarded as a threat to the West. The question is, did they get one? More on that later. The military personnel who are encountering these phenomena tell remarkable stories. In one example, over the course of 2 weeks in November 2004, the USS Princeton, a guided missile cruiser operating above advanced naval radar, repeatedly detected unidentified aircraft operating in and around the Nimitz carrier battle group, which it was guarding off the coast of San Diego. In some cases, according to incident reports and interviews with military personnel, these vehicles descended from altitudes higher than 60,000 feet at supersonic speeds, only to suddenly stop and hover as low as 50 feet above the ocean, according to Christopher Mellon, former Assistant Secretary of Defense. We don't know the answer to these questions, but we do know that the United States has a history of government agencies existing in secrecy for years. The National Security Agency, NSA, was founded in 1952, and its existence was hidden until the mid-1960s. Even more secretive is the National Reconnaissance Office, which was founded in 1960 but remained a secret for 30 years. We're talking about special access programs, SAPs. From these, we have acknowledged and waived SAPs. These programs do not exist publicly, but they do indeed exist. They are better known as deep black programs. In 1997, U.S. Senate report described them as, quote, so sensitive that they are exempt from standard reporting requirements to the Congress, end quote. We also know that there is a black budget to fund these programs. And Dolan also talks about the secret space program on Real Evidence. Are these objects extraterrestrial, is the question. There are literally hundreds of people with extensive academic, political, and military backgrounds, all the way to astronauts who have been blowing the whistle for a very long time. Many scientific publications have also been made throughout the years describing strange and radar confirmed military sightings by military pilots. And you can see some evidence and documents from the article I wrote regarding, he says, Chilean Air Force. According to Herman Oberth, one of the founding fathers of rocketry and astronomics, flying saucers, he said, are real, and they are spaceships from another solar system. I think that they are possibly manned by intelligent observers who are members of a race that may have been investigating our Earth for centuries. This is what Herman Oberth said back in October 24th, 1954. Victor Marchetti says we have indeed been contacted, perhaps even visited by extraterrestrial beings, and the U.S. government, in collusion with other national powers of the Earth, is determined to keep this information from the general public. Another quote from Lord Admiral Hill Norton, Chief of Defense Staff, former 5-star Admiral of the Royal Navy, Chairman of the NATO Military Committee, said, there are objects in our atmosphere which are technically miles in advance of anything we can deploy. We have no means of stopping them from coming here. There is a serious possibility that we are being visited and have been visited for many years by people from outer space, from other civilizations. This should be the subject of rigorous scientific investigation and not the subject of rubbishing by tabloid newspapers, he said. The point is, if you believe some of these objects are indeed extraterrestrial, you're not alone. Couple these statements with the claims of thousands of individuals who have been contactees and abduction experiences who shared remarkable, consistent stories, is definitely a plausible hypothesis for the UFO phenomenon. And the takeaway, what are the implications of extraterrestrial contact? Humanity will always go through paradigm-shifting realizations that will jolt human consciousness, and right now we have a lot of work to be done here on Earth we should be focusing on cleaning up our planet, ridding it of greed, destruction, war, etc. And the author here says, I feel that the ET reality is somehow connected to that realization and the need and urgency that many of us feel regarding the planet and service to others. And this was originally from Collective Evolution. The article, The Man Who Hacked NASA and AFSPC, gives a new interview describing what he found. And this is on Collective Spark by Arjun Walia, Collective Evolution. Please leave your comments and thank you for your support. Kindly support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.